Hey guys, welcome back. So, with Halo 6 on the horizon in the, hopefully, near future, I figured it would be a good time to come together with my compadre and discuss things that we want from its story, considering we're coming off the back of Halo 5, of which had a story that was, and Halo Wars 2, which made some improvements, but at the same time, it wasn't anything Halo 2 or Halo 4 standard. So today I am joined by my loyal compadre to fight the wars to come with me. Compadre, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hello lads, it's your boy acting male here with HiddenXperia, and we're going to be talking about Halo stories, yes. You got your tea ready, lad?
I'm sipping my perfectly milky tea right now. I've got my biscuits, I've got my tea, I've got my crumpets. I'm set. You set to talk about this?
Yes.
Well, everybody, get your crumpets, get your tea, and let's get into this thing. So, we've both come up with 5 things that we want from Halo 6's story, and we're going to go one by one. So I'll do one, then the acting male will do one, yada yada. So I'm going to kick it off, and arguably the thing that I want most from Halo 6's story is a resolute ending. I mean, an ending that actually has an ending, that doesn't end us on some cliffhanger, that doesn't end us in the open. I want an ending that gives us a sense of pride and accomplishment.
Oh,
hey!
How about closure and finale?
Yeah,
finalize?
Finality?
Finality, that's a good word.
That one. I'm gonna pretend that exists. Finality. Yeah. An ending that gives us like a sense of completion. We haven't actually had one like that since 2012. Halo 5 ended us on a cliffhanger. Halo Wars 2 ended us on a cliffhanger. Awakening the Nightmare pretty much ended us on a cliffhanger. Like, we've not had a resolute game since 2012.
It's always been to be continued.
Yeah, find out next time. It's trying to go with the Avengers type of thing, where every game or every movie leads into the next one. Like, they can still do that with a resolute ending. I mean, Combat Evolved did quite well, but it doesn't need to be so open that you don't get that sense of accomplishment when you finish the campaign, because I really didn't get that with Halo 5 at all.
I think a good point to make on that is you think about how Halo 2 ended, and the cliffhanger there was kind of bullshit, but at the same time, the whole story overall was such a good experience. It's like, it made you excited to see what was next, whereas these games kind of do that. I mean, Halo Wars 2, in a sense, but they do that ending too much, where it's not complete. It's just a to be continued, so...
Yeah, I think the thing with Halo 2 as well was the fact that with the 2 storylines, the Arbiter storyline, that did have a sort of ending. That had a more complete ending. Chiefs definitely didn't, but at least half of the story had an ending. Whereas with Halo 5, both of the storylines ended up coalescing and resulting in the same thing, which I don't think was a good idea, ultimately. But
yeah,
anyways,
that's a good point.
Let's move on to your point. What's your first thing you want?
My first point is Locke and Chief dynamic fleshed out, right? Give them some more things to talk about or to do. I mean, again, you think about what Halo 2 and Halo 3 did with Arbiter and Chief, and they barely talk. It's almost just like nods and small motions, you know? Chief runs up to Arbiter and points the gun at him, and Arbiter only says one thing. It's like, there's so much you can do without, you know, explicitly long monologues of dialogue.
And sometimes subtleties like that can be even better than having long dialogue.
Exactly. Yeah, so I want that dynamic fleshed out. I want to see more of how they interact with each other. Yeah, that'd be my first point, because I think that's what Halo 5 tried to do, and it's got to make up for that in Halo 6.
Yeah, I definitely agree, because the original idea for Locke, having him be like an Oni spook who was a puppet of these higher-ups, these faceless higher-ups, that originally had me so excited, and to see that all come crashing down and just not exist in the game at all was really upsetting, because that could have created a really nice dynamic with Chief. But hopefully we do get something along the lines of that, because right now Locke is essentially a blank slate. I don't have a reason to care about his character, and I really, really want to. I just don't have a reason to yet. I'm hoping Halo 6 will do that. Hopefully they'll follow this advice. So this kind of segues nicely into my second point. I really want to bring back that sense of impending doom and sort of loss. Because in Halo 6, we're very much going to be with our backs up against the wall. Obviously, the Created control a majority of the galaxy. There's the possibility of Cortana even being infected by the Flood. There's the Banished on the Ark that might pose a threat. The Allies are really pressed back against the wall here, and the only game that's actually showed that really well, in my opinion, was Reach. Reach gave a really good atmosphere of being on the losing side, and right now, I feel like I already know the outcome of the Creator story arc. I feel like I know that we're going to defeat Cortana. I know that we're going to end up winning. I know there's going to be a little bit of loss on the way, but I know we're going to win. And I hate that feeling. I hate the fact that I already know how this storyline is roughly going to end. I don't want that. I want some unsurprising loss or unsurprising character deaths. I mean,
unpredictability.
Yeah, have it be unpredictable. Not crazy, but unpredictable. And I think
if you think about it, I mean, did anyone really expect Johnson to die at the end of Halo 3? Oh shit, spoilers, sorry guys.
Dude, watch it. The game came out like 10 years ago, seriously. People haven't played it yet.
People haven't played it yet.
Believe it or not, there's somebody out there that hasn't played Halo 3. And I feel very bad for that person.
There's probably many people. But that would be hilarious if someone got upset. Like, oh, X-Man, come on.
Fucking Ackman is spoiling Halo 3. Next thing he's going to tell me that Chief survived Combat Evolved. Like, what?
Oh,
how?
Shit.
How?
Well, you're the one that spoiled that.
Oh, go ahead and unsubscribe now. I'm sorry. I apologize. Back to the point. Yeah, I feel like the best way they could do this, honestly, is destroy the Infinity. I would fucking love to see the Infinity going down in flames. Because right now, it's a little bit overpowered, as in, like, I don't feel like humanity can really lose with this mega ship on their side. However, if that went down, that wouldn't be the case anymore.
To add on to your point, they should actually make the Guardians threatening instead of just, like, floating robots that, you know, sing.
Yeah, you can say that again. They just, like, shout at you and knock you out the sky.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so you want to give us your...
My second point here is a deeper or stronger connection to Halo Wars 2. Perhaps have Atriox as a sub-villain. I think it would be really cool to see him in some Halo 6 cutscenes as well. You know, let's get the ball rolling in connecting these two series, or, you know, maybe... Well, this will kind of tie into my fourth point, so I'll just leave it at that. A connection to Halo Wars 2 in some way.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I think instead of having like Covenant and Prometheans, I reckon they could have sort of like one faction is in the Created be Covenant and Prometheans together, fighting together, and then another faction could be the Banished maybe, because the Banished units they could potentially act very different to the Covenant in a first-person shooter. So yeah, no, I agree with that. I'd like to see them be more fleshed out. They're a really cool concept, and they've not had anywhere near enough development yet, so fingers crossed they get some more soon.
Especially in the vehicle department.
Yeah, definitely.
Right? There's so many cool vehicles that would be just awesome to pilot in a shooter from Halo Wars 2. Like, think about a section where you're in a blister bag. Like, imagine how awesome that would be to be flying around at one point, and then you got to constantly swap, you know, between air and ground.
I was just thinking about that. Like, a section where you have to help, like, I don't know, a squad of Spartan Force push through a really open area, and you have to keep moving the blister back forward and forward to cover them with artillery. That idea would be so cool. That'd be awesome.
You got, like, allied Banshees and other blister bags. You know, that would just be awesome. And in multiplayer, imagine how that would work in multiplayer.
That'd be such an interesting vehicle to use in multiplayer.
I know, right?
That'd be mad. That's actually, yeah, no, definitely purely for the vehicles, I'd say bring the Banished into it somehow. And
back to you.
That also, yeah, that segues really well into my third point. So instead of adding new characters like Halo 5 did, Halo 5 had like 14 main characters. There's no way you can flesh out 14 main characters in a 15 mission story. So instead of adding new characters, I want them to focus on existing characters and flesh them out more. So like Atriox or Locke or Halsey or Lasky, focus on those characters and flesh those out more, instead of adding new characters that sort of just sit in the background and don't do much. Because I don't know, Halo could potentially have a really cool Chief, Locke, and Arbiter dynamic, considering how all three of those characters are linked, both in their backstories and them like coming off the back of Halo 5. So I think that if they focused on creating interesting dynamics between already existing characters and fleshing those relationships out, it'd be a lot better than just adding new characters.
I mean, if you think about it, Combat Evolved basically had 5 characters, 6 if you counted the Marines, and I mean, that's not a whole lot, but it still managed to tell a pretty good story that way, so you don't need to, yeah, that's a great point. You don't need to just keep like, oh, we need a character who's black and 12 feet tall and, you know, has cornrows. It's like, nah, just keep what you got and work on that. That actually ties into my third point here, which is Lasky becomes more like he was in Halo 4. Because in Halo 5, he just doesn't have that charm. That kind of like, Chief, I'm gonna break the rules for you because I know you're right, even though my commander is a dipshit. He doesn't want me to break the rules. I'm gonna break them for you, Chief.
Yeah.
I'm gonna break protocol.
That cutscene, that dialogue in Halo 4, when on the final mission, when you fly in the broadsword and you hear the Infinity come into range, and then you hear Lasky talking instead of Del Rio, and then you ask him why, and Lasky's like, Fleecom didn't take kindly to Del Rio abandoning you. I'm in charge now. I loved that, because it showed that Lasky was more than just a pawn of the people above him. He was an actual character who had feelings and emotions and ties to other characters.
You know, I was sent here with orders to stop you from leaving. brings you a Pelican.
Yeah, brings you a fully armored Pelican.
See, that's what I think of when I think of Lasky, is just being like the homie.
Yeah, your boy that comes in clutch on a regular basis.
Yeah. Johnson's the badass, you know, funny guy who doesn't take everything so seriously. But Lasky's the homie, and I want him to be the homie again.
Yeah. I guess you could even say that at the end of Halo 4, Lasky is the shoulder that you cry on. And time to move out of Tumblr territory. Let's move over to a different type of territory. A Halo ring. For the love of God, please let us fight in a Halo ring. Now, we have not fought in a first-person shooter on a Halo ring for 13 years, if you don't count the ARC. Literally, Halo 2 was the last time that we fought on a Halo ring, which is pretty nuts when you think about it. So, one of my main requests...
they're called installations.
Installation 05, yes, that is correct. that is correct, Mr. Acting Male. Don't, what would be the word? Don't, law-splain me. Don't law-splain me.
Law-splain, oh god. That's gonna be a thing.
I apologise for bringing that up. It's gonna be a thing, unfortunately. Anyway, yeah. Give us some missions where we fight on a Halo ring. I reckon we will do. I reckon 343 have already got that planned anyway, considering Halo 5's legendary ending. But the atmosphere that you get simply from fighting on these massive ring worlds and like halfway through a battle, just looking up and seeing the world that you're on just expand and just span above you and behind you. There's something really magical about it, and it's been missing from Halo, like I said, for 13 years. So
it just lets your animation or your imagination just kind of go anywhere. You just think, well, shit, I'm on this really small part. Well, what's all the way up there? I mean, it'd also be even really cool if, like, in addition to fighting on the Halo ring, I mean, maybe there's some kind of map, like little map thing. I don't know. I wanna compare it to like that diorama mode in Battlefront 2015, but but not terrible and like useless. but like, you know, you think about where the libraries are, where, you know, the control room is, the cartographers, like a cool map menu or something that would zoom into the part of the ring where these key areas are, and it would show you like a cool picture or something in a description. I think that would be really fucking cool.
Yeah, something like kind of like the picture in Halo Wars 2's main menu of the ARC, but have something like that where it's a hologram where it's actually annotated with the locations of like the map room, the control room, the library,
and then you pick them, and then it zooms in, and then it shows you maybe like a slow animated background, kind of like Reach, where it just kind of moves and feels alive.
That'd be awesome. Yeah. Okay. That's my Halo ring point. I love that idea though. Let's move on to your next point.
This does kind of tie in as well. This is what I was talking about for my second point, which was subplots, side missions, you know, think about a mode kind of like Spartan Ops, but good, you know? As far as kind of, you know, recovering from Halo 5's story blunders, I think this would be... Because, I mean, it's unrealistic to expect, you know, a Halo campaign or, you know, Halo 6 to be like 12 hours long. I mean, that'd be great if they just went balls to the walls for the campaign. I would love that. But I think a more realistic thing to do to help recover the story and build it up is to try a sort of Spartan Ops thing again, but this time, you know, really have a focus nailed down of getting the subplots right. You know, maybe this could be how they tie in Halo Wars 2 and Atriox. This could be, you know, part of whatever free DLC plan they have if they do, that sort of thing. I'd just like to see more more interesting subplots and side missions that flesh out the world we're in. You know, maybe something that sheds light on Prometheans or what have you.
I definitely agree. That could also be really, really useful for like the community as well. Because the problem with Halo's story and the community is that we don't have anything to sort of hold us over until the next game. We have the campaign, and that's it. Like, sure, we've got books and everything, but that they never reveal anything major that's going to impact the next game, because they can't, because a very small minority of Halo fans that play the games read the books. Whereas if they did something like that, and they made it not super significant, but like you said, like, maybe bring the banish back, or, I don't know, tease something for the next game, it'd really be helpful for the community to keep the community sort of healthy over time as well, because there's constantly like new pieces of story that they can be finding and they can be learning about and just stuff like that. I think that'd be really, really cool for that, but also really cool because more Halo story. Who doesn't want more Halo story?
They'd call it something different than Spartan Ops, probably.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. Maybe just side missions or something.
Marine Ops.
Marine Ops.
Speaking of Marines, kind of speaking of Marines, not really speaking of Marines at all. My next point, and my final point, is something that I think every single person could have predicted from a mile off. I want some form of a flood tease, something, anything, whether it's a legendary ending, or a very subtle reveal or hint of Cortana's logic plague, or anything to bring them back, because the Flood have a huge fan base. A lot of people like and miss the Flood. Obviously, they weren't perfect. I'm not going to sit here and argue that they were perfect from a gameplay standpoint, but people miss
trying to
the
become
Flood.
perfect, Xperia. That's their goal.
Yeah, they're growing as a person, as a soul. The Flood are really growing. They need time to nurture like a rose. And that's my Tumblr side coming out again. But no, just some form of Flood tease. Especially recently, 343 are making it very obvious that Cortana is basically infected by the logic plague. They're making it very obvious. We basically know right now that she is working on some aspect with the Flood. So do something. Tease us in the legendary ending. Tease us in Easter eggs in the campaign. Hell, even have them in the game. I mean, I'd be all for that. Anything.
Or have a reveal that mimics the original reveal.
Yeah. I feel like when they do eventually come back, that'll be how they'll do it. I feel like that's the only good way to do it, because
something that's not super obvious as to, oh, this is just like Combat Evolved, like the minute you see it, but it slowly you get that realization that, oh my god.
Well, there was that one cutscene in Halo 5 where Blue Team first meet the Warden, and there's this like green fog everywhere and dead bodies, and it's the most Flood-looking thing. That was in one of the first trailers, and I saw that, and I was like, "Holy shit, the Flood coming back!" And then
I thought
big
that too when I saw
man.
that scene.
That was some pretty
but it was just the Warden again.
It was just a big metal boy.
Again.
Yeah, again. So, do you want to finish this on your final point, my boy?
Yes. My fifth and final point of what I want to see in Halo 6's story, or the next Halo game, is more emotional involvement and comedic relief moments. I feel like there wasn't... I mean, since Johnson's been gone, Halo's kind of been missing. I mean, ODST had great characters that were all pretty funny at times, but everything after that... Halo Wars had Forge, who was funny, but everything after that... has been somewhat lacking in the comedic relief moments, you know? And I think we kind of need a character that provides that, or, you know,
Yeah.
just some more interaction with the Marines, because the Marines always provided that, but since you didn't really fight with the Marines in Halo 5, you don't hear those funny lines they used to say.
And that's one of the things that I love most about Halo Wars 2. Halo Wars 2 brought that back in such a good fashion. The like passive Marine dialogue's fantastic in that game. If that could transition over to Halo 6, that would be a great fix for that. But I do feel like we need another character sort of like Johnson. I don't know, because Johnson was a real good comedic relief at the same time as being an important, serious character. And I feel like that's sort of what Palmer was meant to be, but it didn't work.
Yeah, she just kind of comes off as like sassy, I'm better than you.
Yeah, it's snobby, like especially in Halo 4.
Yeah.
Halo 5, she was just like, I don't even know what she was in Halo 5. She really wasn't anything spectacular. She was just a Spartan.
She was just there.
Yeah, she was just a ever so slightly sassy Spartan, but yeah, no, we do need some more comedic relief, I think. I agree with that.
But, yeah, my other point on that was emotional involvement. I mean, just making us feel something. You know, Halo 4, despite the fact that I didn't like it as much as the other games, I still felt something playing through it, whether it was the nostalgia aspect at the beginning, or, you know, the heartbreak at the end, or, you know, the fuck yeah, here's my homie with Lasky. You know, I despite all I dislike about Halo 4, I still felt a lot playing through it, and I think that's something that's sorely missing from Halo 5. And they need to find that.
Nah, I definitely agree. Funnily enough, the one moment in Halo 4 that gives me shivers every time, like sort of like emotional cool shivers, isn't the Cortana scene. It's the scene I was talking about earlier, where you're in the broadsword and you hear Lasky start talking to you, and that scene, where Lasky's like, "We're gonna support the chief, and we're gonna support the chief." That scene, I was like, every time that gets me, I'm like, "Yeah, dude, this is fucking awesome."
Yeah, because the music builds up at that point, and then it opens up to reveal that wide, huge area.
Yeah, and you can see Earth above you.
Even if that gameplay section feels kind of like a gimmick, like it still makes you feel something in the way that it's presented.
Yeah, no, definitely, I agree. So, more emotional attachment to characters. I really feel like that was supposed to be what Locke was meant for. Sort of like the polar opposite of Chief. You're meant to have an emotional attachment to him in a bad way, so you're meant to hate him, but...
Yeah, he was supposed to be like the faceless, nameless assassin, you know? That's what he should have been. He shouldn't have taken his helmet off, like, at all. Until maybe the very end. He was mysterious for the whole game.
I don't even think then. I thought it would have been kind of cool if he never did. If he was sort of like Chief in that respect, where he didn't ever take off his helmet. He was always on the mission.
Wow, you just made Locke cool. You just made Locke cool.
I fixed Locke. There you go. Where's my 343 check?
Yeah, good job, my friend.
Thank you, friend. And on that note, that's a good note to end on, I think. I do have one more point. I think everybody can agree on this. With the recent rise of microtransactions in single-player games, Shadow of War, Assassin's Creed Origins, I think we can both say this pretty confidently. Please, for the love of God, do not add microtransactions to single-player. Please.
I don't think they would.
No, I can't see him doing it, but
no.
I feel like I have to.
But you're just putting it out there as a sprinkle of good fairy dust, right? Just to make sure.
Yeah, some nice silver dust. Anybody gets that reference right there, that's a microtransaction reference. A bit of silver dust. But
I got it now.
Hey. But yeah, that's going to do it for today, guys. Thanks a lot for joining me, Ackman. It's been a pleasure.
You're welcome, lad. Thanks for having me on. You got great tea, by the way. I love the jasmine.
Oh, tall lad. Chamomile and jasmine tea. It's fucking right good, that is. Fucking right good. So, if you guys want to check him out, I'm sure you all already know who he is. But if you want to check him out, his link is right at the top of the description. Go check him out, go subscribe. All that standard procedure stuff. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. And I'll catch you in the next one.
Peace.